Savage Dragon 64 from July of 1999 with a pretty dope cover here. That stark white background really making these characters pop. Got the usual credits: Eric Larson, Chris Eliopoulos, Ruben Rude, and Josh Ekhorn, who is patiently waiting in line for episode 2. So he'll only have to wait a couple of years for that movie to hit theaters. So in the last issue, number 63, Dragon killed Overlord, who ended up being turned out to be police officer Vic Nixon in the armor. So now Dragon is talking to the cops, his former coworkers, and they agree it was self-defense, so he's not charged with murdering a police. Look at this crazy sci-fi bullshit. So this massive machine is like an insanely powerful blast furnace that they use to finally destroy the Overlord armor once and for all, so that we'll never have to worry about that again until we do. I'm more curious about this furnace though, man. Like, what purpose does it serve when it's not destroying armor? It looks like something out of Star Wars or Final Fantasy video games or something. Anyway, moving on. This next page brings us to the reprinted material from the Comic Shop News that Larson had been doing original 2-page strips for. It's a weekly publication called Comic Shop News that the comic shops would give away free copies of this magazine and stuff them into every customer's bags. It was a good promotion for Savage Dragon for a few months, doing these 2-page gags. Like this one here. So back in issue 40, Dragon used a Martian shrinking ray on dozens of bad guys, shrinking them down to about an inch or two. And the tiny gang has broken into his apartment to get revenge. But Dragon sucks them into a vacuum, and then he chucks the whole thing into a dumpster. So, pretty funny stuff. You know, it's a standalone story. Just these 2-page, it's a 2-page gag that he's able to now reprint in his own monthly comic. So, it's pretty handy. It's not all humor. There's some interesting character development in these strips as well. So, Dragon is working on a TV commercial, and we're introduced to a new love interest, Marcy Howard. And we also get to see his relationship as a single father with his daughter Angel. And Chester the cab driver is back. So this is Dragon's buddy from a few years ago, actually. I think we last saw him in issue 27. But Dragon fills him in on what's been going on. You know, his wife has been killed, and he's retired as a superhero. And then Chester and Angel are left to hang out while Marcy and Dragon go on a date at a restaurant. And one of the kitchen staff is a supervillain, and he decides it's a good idea to go and smash an oven over the Dragon's head. And Dragon looks furious, and he's like, "You're going to pay." He says, "About $20. $20 ought to cover the price of the shirt that got destroyed." So a lot of readers compared this issue to reading Desperate Times by Chris Eliopoulos. That's the featured in the back of Savage Dragon's Desperate Times, but rapid fire joke delivery. There's a joke at the end of every panel, and it kind of does the same thing here. It's like a joke here, here, here. And Larson always had humor in his book, but this feels much more like a traditional newspaper comic strip architecture. Kind of works well. And it's interesting to see Larson flexing different kinds of comic skills. You know he can do superhero action and like pinup babes, but here's like a smaller scale story that's packed with some humor. Like here, where we get to make fun of the statue that Chicago has erected when the Dragon was believed to be dead. So this is Larson just kind of taking shots at how other artists draw his character. Pretty much looks like the Hulk with a fin on his head. Here's what they have to say about it. Marcy's like, "The nose is too little, the face is too ugly, the waist and the legs are too big, he's got no fangs, little ears, and the fin is completely wrong. And so are his feet. Dragon's only supposed to have 2 toes. Looks like he's got 5 there." This kind of reminds me of the statue that the Miami Heat commissioned for Dwayne Wade. Just plain disrespectful. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is the last time that we'll see Chester until issue 221 in 2017. So I thought we'd see more of this dude, but he disappears for a couple of decades. What else we got here? She-Dragon is attacked in the supermarket, and Dragon doesn't help her out because he doesn't want to lose his place in line. It's kind of funny. We got some more domestic stuff. Horridus babysits Angel, who 1 page later walks in on Marcy and Dragon getting it on. So all kinds of stuff going on in the Dragon household. Finally, we got the return of Simon Kane, the Possessor. This is teased for next issue. Pretty short comic, only 20 pages, but I'm not complaining. We got plenty of comic left here, including Fanatics. First, Larson announces the arrival of the Eliopoulos twins. His letterer, Chris Eliopoulos, and his wife, Audra, gave birth to twins Jeremy and Justin on the 4th of July of 1999. How about that? So those dudes are like 25 now. And Chris Eliopoulos would later do a comic inspired by his twin boys called Cosmic Commandos. And Larson notes that when the book started, all these guys working on it were childless and single. Now they're all married with children. And coincidentally, fans noticed that the Savage Dragon universe has become populated with more children as the creators of the comic begin to have children of their own in real life. So it's just art imitating life here. What else? Plenty of letters, nothing too noteworthy. Lots of reaction to the death of Jennifer in issue 62. Then we got some pinups by Jay Lee and Jovan Kirby. Pretty cool. Also, there's a cameo here by Cornholio in the Dragon Bert and Brain Bert comic. Then another Megaton Man feature, followed up with Desperate Times by Chris Eliopoulos, and the introduction of the alien character here named Zort. Looks like maybe inspiration from the Flintstones. All right, so that is it. Next up is issue 65.